with ET,
Sorry.
work with Efficiency Vermont and local tradespeople to get a quick and dirty estimate. Then the other thing is to hire an estimator to put a number on it. The third issue is explore the capped landfill for methane production and energy production for methane and possible solar array. The fourth one is investigate geothermal heating cooling system, a district system for Williston Village. Look into a government grant for feasibility studies. There is one that's specifically geared towards our community, and I could send that on to you. And the last one is you had last week you had an item on the agenda about Andrew Chalnick, and who's the I guess he's the chair of the Climate Action Plan Task Force in South Burlington, and he had a meeting last Sunday of included myself and Kim Hornig, Marcy, and members from two other towns, energy committees. And we're talking about what they were proposing, and what he presented was something which is in our plan, energy plan, which is incorporating the stretch code into our bylaws, and to require that all new construction be carbon free, both in heating and hot water. And I sent the information to Kevin, but unfortunately he's not here right now. So he could fill you in on any of the details. But he has a meeting in another 2 months, and I want to know if anyone from the Energy Committee would be like to attend that meeting. This thought is that if one town does something, they're out on a limb. If towns around it do something and act as a district that all are pushing the same bylaw changes to require carbon-free heating and hot water in future development, it's more likely we can get that done, because we can point to each other. We're working on it, we're posting it, presenting it, that kind of thing. That's all I have.
Thank you. For our benefit, do you have any of these things just in a bullet list that you could send to us?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great if you
Who
could
should I send to?
send it
Me and Reed. Yeah. Sorry.
just so we can get it properly digested.
Yeah, send it to Melinda.
Yes, please, and myself.
Okay, and Reed. All right. Okay, I'll do that. Thanks very much for hearing me.
Thank you. All right. Next on, thank you, Brian. Thank you for your comments, and we'll look forward to your bullet draft of document on these items. The next is I'm trying to click on things. I'm not used to Zoom. Melinda, you'll have to click on it. Draft minutes of the last meeting, which I have reviewed and did not see any changes that were needed. Comments from anybody else?
I didn't see any problems with it, Reed.
Okay. Kevin or Dar?
Looks fine to me.
Okay. Somebody like to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll do that.
All right, and somebody second it?
Yep, second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes of September 28th as presented, say aye or wave your hands.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I think the ayes have it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, recap of EV Fest is next on the agenda. In personal opinion, we had a great event with tremendous number of EVs. I think there were either 15 or 18. 18 was the last count that showed up.
18. Yeah.
18, which was tremendous. Plus a guesstimate of 75 to 100 people showed up. Personal opinion is it was a success. Looking for input from other people.
Totally agree. I thought it was great.
Yeah, people were really excited and very engaged. I got a lot of great questions about my cars, and seemed like people were very enthusiastic and excited.
Mhm.
I thought it was great,
Good.
and the weather was perfect.
Yes, it couldn't have been better. It absolutely couldn't have been better out there. I spoke to the 3 vendors we had at the site from GMP, Green Mountain Solar, and Drive Electric, and they were all very pleased with not only the number of people who showed up, but the number of people who engaged them and either picked up printed information or asked for future information. And they said it was a better response than they've seen at other events. So that was really, really quite good.
Excellent.
So I took a little free license and wrote a post-event article that which Jason Starr stuck in the Observer for us. And I think that has a benefit in looking up the value of writing those, of not only reminding people what we did, but also for those who didn't make it, especially when you say at the bottom, I think we'll do another one next year. They go, oh, gee, I missed out on this. I'll be sure to be there. And it looks like if EVs keep, the use of EVs and the buying and everything keeps expanding at the rate it is, this could easily be a repeatable event in the fall.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other thoughts?
It's too bad the electric bike thing fell through. That would have been a nice addition to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the presenter got ill and couldn't make it. Because
No, when I was
there were a couple people who actually asked me, where's the electric bikes? They came
Yeah.
specifically for that.
Yeah.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, though it was a little crazy. It would be nice to have like a nice big separate area for those bikes to ride around, because I noticed at the Burlington one I was at, there were people zipping around on electric bikes, and they sort of had a whole parking lot closed off for people to ride around.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we would have had good space for that anyway, unless they kind of went up the bike path. But
I think that was the original plan, was to post them, perpendicular to where the other vendors were on the far left,
yeah,
and then have them ride up the bike path. So I think we would have been able to keep them separate from careening around the parking lot, so yeah. So it's a good point, though, that if we do that, we want to make sure that we have enough room for those kinds of demonstrations.
yeah.
And maybe next year we'll have a 0 to 60-second EV drag race. Yes.
There you go.
All right. Anything else on that? I mean, I was pleased with it. Very pleased.
Yeah, all our vehicle owners were great and happy to share information. It's great of
Yeah.
them to give the time to that event, and I learned a lot. Someone who doesn't have an EV, so it was helpful. for
Yeah.
me.
Melinda, did you? Oh no, the EV ambassador program's down later. Okay, never mind. I was gonna interject that now, but unless we want to move it around, Melinda?
Well, you could, I want to make sure to leave enough time for the capital budget. stuff.
I think we will, because I don't think this will take that. Seeing we're on a roll with EVs. If nobody has a objection, we'll just slide the EV ambassador program next steps up. Because Melinda, I guess I'm going to throw this to you because you were discussing this with owners, and what was your feedback from them?
Yeah, so I actually went around with the form to sign up, and I got 12 people to sign up at the actual event. And I collected email addresses from those sign-up sheets, as well as the people who were there presenting vehicles. You know, I guess Kevin had all the email addresses of those folks. And what I would like to do, I think, what might make sense, because I did hear a little bit of hesitancy from some people, like they weren't sure they wanted like their name up on a website or their contact information up on a website. So it's kind of something to think about, but maybe I thought a follow-up survey to everybody, including the 12 people who signed up and the people who were there, as many of them as we can get email addresses for, to sort of, and I can show you the modified survey, get some more information from them, you know, about range, about just some additional questions, which we didn't have the first time around. You know, just so that we can post on the webpage for the ambassador program some stats from people who have EVs. And then also at the very, oh yeah, okay, so at this question, it actually asks the question, doesn't assume that people are going to want to be on the EV ambassador program. It just says, are you willing to share information with potential EV purchasers about your experience purchasing, owning, driving an EV, PHEV? Can we share your email address on the EV ambassador webpage? And then it gives them some options, you know, yes, no, maybe, but you know, we need some more information. And then I would like to share information, but not have my name and email address listed on the webpage. So in that case, we just would figure out a way to sort of match people. Like, you know, we could have the make of vehicle on the web page, but not have the person's contact information. That way, if somebody was interested in that particular vehicle, we could figure out a way to connect them without actually, you know, displaying their contact information for everybody to see. I think some people are just afraid that their email is going to get spammed, or, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I think that privacy is a good point, that maybe if we get to this point of having a page where people can go, any inquiries go to maybe our energy mailbox, and then we fan that out to the people and say, are you willing to address this with somebody, answer their questions, meet with them over the phone or in person, and that would put a layer of insulation between those who are inquiring and those who are potentially giving out information.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And if the people didn't even want to deal directly with the person from the public, that person could email in some questions that they have, and we could answer them, or the person who owns that particular model, if they have model specific questions, that person could sort of almost answer them anonymously if they want that level of privacy. But
Right.
um,
Yeah, we could have there's certain things people ask about financing, rebates, so on. We could have stock answers for a lot of people that can go back to them without actually engaging a person too.
yeah,
We ask questions.
Right, and you've sort of already done that with the articles that put the Observer, so there is a ready source of information, but really the point of this program, I think, is to have people be able to talk to the owners about their specific experience.
Right. Yeah.
But, I think there's ways of ensuring privacy while also, trying to make this work. So I think you'll be able to figure it out as we go. But I guess, yeah, as far as next steps, I guess I would recommend maybe resending out this expanded survey to those people that we have contact info for, and seeing how many bites we get. And then maybe if you feel like you need more, you can put another Front Porch Forum posting out with the survey. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think that would be good. You've got 18 people you could at least send it to. Then Front Porch Forum might expand that to people who didn't come to the event, or we had 2 or 3 EVs, I think 3 of them just show up as part of the audience. Maybe they would be interested, and maybe there's others, and other people could click on a link and fill out this survey, and we could see, do we end up with half a dozen interested people that could work with us?
I mean, does Kevin know these people? The 12 that you were talking about? Or he knows their emails, but do you think he knows them?
He knows some of these people. Some are just people who either registered on the Drive Electric site or just showed up with their vehicles.
Because I don't know if there's any vetting, but you don't want to get somebody who's just going to be, I don't know, not helpful
Well,
and waste
yeah.
someone's time.
I would say that like everybody who was at that, I mean, so everybody would have been like at that event, right?
Yeah.
And so I would say, I mean, I didn't think there was I don't know.
Right,
It seemed like
okay.
everybody there was like super helpful,
Okay.
and
Good,
just.
but
yeah.
going to Front Porch Forum and getting anybody to come in,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's like, you no quality control on what we're trying to accomplish here.
Mm.
No, but the quality
Yeah.
control comes in from the responses they give to us. So it isn't necessarily that we knew every single EV owner there
Yeah,
at EV Fest, but if, people write in and say, oh, I filled out your survey, here's my response, I like this idea, then at least we have a way of getting back to them before we just throw their name out there and say, hey, this is what we think this is going to be. So we clearly have a set of rules of engagement for somebody coming in with a question and then assigning it for a response, making sure that people are clear about what their obligations are or whether they really even want to address those. I think, I'm sure there will be questions that just.
I kind of feel like anybody who responds to this Front Porch Forum post is going to have a level of enthusiasm already, like
yeah,
they're enthusiastic enough that they want to share information with others, and they want to make a commitment to like be a source of information to others. So I sort of think that there's like a almost natural vetting that happens, just and like people who are going to bother to respond.
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, I agree with that, Melinda. They're very enthusiastic and they care, they're passionate about the electric car. That's why they want to do it. And they want to be helpful and
Mhm.
Melinda,
Well,
I would like to be added as an ambassador as well, if you want to send me
Sure.
the link to the survey.
Yeah, I've got you on the, on the list because you were showing
Oh, okay.
cars. So yeah, I would say anybody from the energy committee. I don't know how many have cars have EVs, but Kevin's on the list, you're on the list, Maria's on the list.
I think it's just Reed and I don't have these.
Yeah,
I have
and
one. I have it.
okay, so I'll put you on the list then, if you want.
Sure.
No, I
Okay.
think the survey's worth sending out, in my opinion.
Mm,
It's worth sending out to the folks who were participants and get this. See how many of them come back and say, oh yeah, you talked to me. Hey, these are my responses, and see where we go from there with the start. See if how many people we get that want to be part of the program. And then do
Okay.
front porch forum after that.
mhm. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, you might get some response from front porch forum. It's worth trying.
Mhm.
Sure. Hello. Kevin Thorley in the house.
You're on time, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's like,
fine. Now we had forum, so we're good. We're talking about the EV and that.
did you have a quorum?
Yeah. you did.
Okay, good. Hey, Matt.
Well,
Hey, how are you?
I'm late.
Yes.
Apologies.
That's okay.
We were just talking about the EV event and next step for the EV ambassadors program.
You that was awesome.
It's awesome.
I'm so psyched.
Yeah, we all said the same thing. Yeah, it went really well. 18 vehicles and 75 to 100 attendees. Yeah, good.
Good feedback too in the various public forums, stuff I've heard directly from people. Do we get, so we get signups for the ambassador program from people there?
Yeah, so I got about 12 people at the event to sign up and maybe less than that, but 12 altogether, including the ones that signed up at the event. And we were just talking about sending out sort of a survey that was a little expanded from the one that the original EV ambassador survey, just to get some more information from people about their vehicles, to be able to have, show some statistics about people who we know that own EVs and not assume, like maybe some of these people have changed their minds. So really just ask the question again, are you interested in being on the EV ambassador program? And sharing your contact information or whatever and see what response we get from that. Yeah.
One question that might be interesting to add to that is to get just some information about how people use their cars.
Mhm.
Like I was like, because my son had a mountain bike thing at Carkins this afternoon. As soon as I pulled in, the guy next to me was like, I gotta ask you a question. Can you fit a mountain bike in the back of the car in the winter when you don't want it on the bike rack? And I get a lot of stuff like that. Like people want like very specific.
Mhm.
Can you put a kayak on top? Can you tow something with it?
That's exactly the kind of question I think that you want this program for.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that would help us match people up. Like, what do you use this for? I use it around town. I use it on road trips. I use
Yeah.
it to ski. I use it to bike or camp or canoe or whatever.
Mhm. It's a good idea.
Good. All right. Melinda, then do you want to add that to the survey?
Yeah, I put a note there.
Okay.
to add that.
Good.
Mhm.
Good. Excellent. All right, I think we're back on time. It's just about 7. So flipping our agenda around. Melinda, so fiscal year 2024 operating and capital budget and capital improvement plans and fleet analysis. There was a lot of documents to look at.
I know
here.
there's a lot of information.
Some of them
there.
are quite lengthy.
Yeah,
Going through them this morning. Do you want to take the lead on this one, please?
yeah, sure. So as you may or may not know, we are entering budget season in town. And so the town develops a annual operating budget and a 6-year capital budget, which is kind of redone every year. So last year's capital budget was FY23 through FY28. This year's capital budget will be FY24 through FY29. And so every year, the Planning Commission makes a comment on the capital budget, just sort of comment and recommendations for how to better align that capital budget with the goals of the town plan. And they always complain that they see the capital budget way too late to have any impact. So I don't know, I figured the capital budgets will not be developed until later on in the season, and yes, by then it'll be too late to really. So, but the thing is that, you know, we can look at last year's capital budget because it obviously will overlap a great deal with this year's capital budget, and there may be some projects that get added to this year's capital budget that weren't in the budget last year. But I think it's useful to take a look and be able to offer some feedback that could have some impact into the budget development this year. So that's what I'm recommending the Energy Committee do, is just take a look at that budget and kind of look at the major projects. And I think what I did was I drafted like a memo, which is, it may have read kind of strangely, but the idea is that this memo would go to the Planning Commission with your recommendations for the capital budget, your comments and your recommendations. And I sort of created this list of projects. These are sort of the major projects in the capital budget that relate to energy use, that, you know, largely relate to energy use. And, you know, on that list are the EV charging stations at town parks. That just sort of came up last year because the town received ARPA funding to fund that. Municipal parking lot expansion and improvements. So this parking lot back here is going to be kind of reconfigured next year. They're doing the planning for that this year. I think Public Works has a slightly different idea about what's going to happen back there and how it's going to be reconfigured than maybe the Energy Committee or the Planning Commission would have. And so I've already sort of put the bug in Bruce's ear about putting charging stations back there, putting, you know, having some, basically having a municipal park and ride, you know, with like a few spaces for park and ride and EV charging, have a bike locker, and perhaps a covered canopy with solar array on it. I don't know. Those are some of the things, but anyway, there's also just these the more ongoing kind of typical projects like maintenance vehicles and equipment, public safety vehicles and equipment. The fire station is doing some upgrades to the what they call the annex of the fire station. I don't really know what that is, but
All these
HVAC
are all,
replacements.
sorry, all
Yeah.
these are already in
So
from last year.
so we're gonna look at last year's capital budget, and all of these are projects that are in that budget and will likely carry over to this
Okay.
coming capital budget.
How's that work? When we say they're in the budget, at the start, the year planned is like 2027. Does that just mean that are we putting a little bit of money aside each year to get there?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah, that's how the capital improvement program works, is that, you know, you figure out what your major expense will be, you know, 6 years from now, or even a longer time frame, and you start putting money away every year for that improvement. So like for example, the fire station will not have to replace its HVAC equipment until 2034, but they're budgeting for that. I mean, that actually may be a typo, maybe closer to 2020, but you know, you sort of see how that works. They're-
Or aren't they, it's gonna cost like 5 or 10 times that much.
That's
So
that's
they're
the
putting aside annual money
that's the
for it?
total
That's
cost.
the total cost.
Yeah.
Alright.
So they're putting in a few $1,000s every year
Uh-huh,
for that.
alright.
Now, that cost is kind of assuming that they're gonna replace HVAC with, you know, just your sort of run-of-the-mill today's HVAC and not switching over to heat pumps, so.
Right, so the energy audits on all those things should be like. Put in this year's budget, so we plan, these things are being planned. So they should be planned with. You know,
Can you put an audit in a capital budget though? Or do you need to plan for that separately? Like if we see that it's
an
fire
operation.
station or police station's 2028.
Yeah.
Capital, the CapEx portion of that is the 60K. Do we need to have some like operational budget placeholder for the audit?
Well, there may be recommendations that you can make without even. I mean. Yeah, audit would be,
Audit might not be the right word. I was thinking more like, you know, if we had someone coming. from
yeah,
Building
right.
energy or someone that does this, right? And say,
Yeah.
hey, if we decide to go with cold climate heat pumps or, you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Mm.
You know, is 60K still the right ballpark, or are we looking at significantly more or less?
Yes, so that would be something. That, yeah, that would need to. They would need to get a better handle on, you know, not necessarily this year, but soon.
Yeah.
You know, in the next few years, that should be, that probably ought
well,
to be
the
done.
police station, we've heard has a really bad problem with over much higher energy use than. Was anticipated, and that's 2028, so that's just, that's just, well, I guess it is 5 years off. but
Let me see.
4 years off.
I'm not
So
sure.
do we get to, so in light of that comment, do we get to make a recommendations to escalate a replacement with newer technology with the idea that it would be saving money?
Yeah, maybe these timelines are wrong from an energy point of view.
You know, if they were originally based on a like for like HVAC system replacement, but you have so many more technologies coming out and getting more and more effective every year, could you say that it would make sense if you did the right study, spending the money ahead of time could have significant benefit to the town? If you're saying the police, for instance, is an ineffective, you know, use of energy at this time.
I think, that there's certainly an argument to be made for that. I think. That probably should be supported with some kind of, like what you were calling an audit,
Right.
you know, just.
Right.
saying,
No, it's not just a
Justified.
thing you throw out and say, hey, we think we got a better idea, but you have to
Yeah.
prove the case.
Right,
We'd also need to push something else out though, right? Because the idea is that you're putting some money aside each year. So if we want to pull it in by 2 or 3 years, we need to push something else out.
right,
What's gonna happen in the meantime, right?
yeah.
But
so-
I mean, if you want to be net neutral on the budget.
Right, so
CapEx.
you're right that there's, you know, we're looking at a limited pool of funds and, you know, you can only increase the tax rate so much, so yeah, you have to prioritize. and, probably should be kind of thinking about that. But
And getting funding put in place to do, say we're get consultants to do it, or. We need to have money in place to be able to get those consultants, so we need to get approval.
And if you don't pull it forward, at least you make a suggestion to go with a different technology.
I'm wondering if we have a couple of years. If that's a couple of years of not just technology improvements, but general awareness and acceptance of it improvements, right? Such that it's
Right.
not such a heavy lift.
So maybe you leave the date where it is, but you just suggest, get an audit done, suggest an audit.
Right.
Or pull it, even if you put in like a year or two, like,
Yeah,
but give it. I think one of the concerns I have is that we go in a. My main concern is it breaks next year and they have to replace the whole thing, under duress, which is how most people replace it back in their homes,
and
right?
they go with a standard.
And they go with what they have.
Right,
Right.
so we should get that word out there now, to break it
Yeah.
into them.
Get,
I think
Get it on
that,
the radar.
I can explore maybe a program that GMP has to like work with municipalities and just commercial whatever.
See if there's a way to get an
Yeah.
audit done.
Yeah, I think they
Under
will,
grant.
like, they will do something like that, I think they have, I don't know what, I can't remember what the program is called, but I can at least explore that and say, can you help us figure out how to do this transition and do it in a way that makes sense? And
Do a
maybe,
comparison.
yeah, maybe at least that'd be a place to start. And we can do that, like I can do that now. But there are also, some. I think if you kind of looking at the budget as a whole and the different areas related to energy, there are some ways that, you can at least start to have an impact and make some recommendations that really make sense, that you don't necessarily even need to kind of get into the weeds too much, but like right now, so there's the area of, there's the buildings, right, replacing the HVAC. There are some really sort of common sense recommendations that can be made kind of with some, I don't know, I'm trying, I don't know how to say it, but just, in a way that they haven't really had committees kind of pushing them to.
I was gonna ask,
get-
who's ultimately responsible for town facilities? Is it the
Well, it's a
group that
select
operates them?
board, it's a select board that's gonna make the decision, that's gonna make the budgetary decisions.
But they make a decision based on,
Details the implementation, though. The town works probably has a lot of input, and says, here's what
Right, so,
they make a recommendation that the HVAC is gonna
yeah,
die in 2 years, right? And the select board says, oh, yeah, okay.
no, so I guess what I'm saying is, I think you can have an impact if you put together a memo with recommendations, and that goes like right away to Eric, town manager, who can then relay that to Public Works.
Yeah.
So if Green Mountain Power or anybody else, right, who's able to come in tomorrow, what's the coordination like on that? Like, is it someone at the police station that we work with because they're responsible for the facility and they would be the one to kind of
Yeah,
be the
so,
liaison, or?
right, so, so when I've been doing these walkthroughs with like lighting people and with last spring with Efficiency Vermont, there, I think it was Lieutenant Josh Moore of the police station is the one who's sort of like the facilities manager. The fire department has somebody, and then for the buildings around here, it's primarily Bruce before. So yeah, there's some coordination that has to happen, and I would need to coordinate with departments to say, hey, I'm having Green Mountain Power, you know, and with Eric, I'd have to get an okay with Eric to do this, but, we'd like to, yeah, we're getting Green Mountain Power to come and take a walk through and like give us some advice on how we can transition off of, fossil fuels. You know,
And
or
it's,
make-
and you as the energy coordinator can actually be part of that. It
Well,
shouldn't just
well,
be,
it's-
it shouldn't just be the
Yeah, and
police, you know,
I am, yeah,
police chief,
yeah,
right? So.
right.
that's good, yeah.
So, but I'm saying, I think there are some powerful statements that you can make as a committee that will make a difference, I think, because nobody has really been pushing to do this stuff. And I think it's been pretty much the same year after year. There have been some sort of, you know, statements made in the capital budget narrative that say, you know, we're gonna start thinking about this. But I think there's definitely been just sort of a lack of action. So I think, you know, I think you are the right body to be making these recommendations. It definitely should come from a citizen board and not a staff person.
So
But
what's that look like then? What do we need to generate?
so,
Be specific.
yeah, I mean, I think, start,
GFP or somebody in here, or do we just?
No,
make
I
a
think-
statement
I
before
think that you can make some pretty general recommendations that'll be much better than what.
Yeah.
Is currently like there. I mean, you know what needs to happen, right?
So we just come up with some text.
So like,
A memo to the select board or Eric.
yeah, so, you know, I've started. I've started
Yeah.
drafting this memo and it sort of creates a format. And then at the very bottom, it says, you know, it says the projects listed above, and maybe you want to get more specific with those projects. Maybe you want to, you know, kind of wade through the capital budget, come up with some more. The Energy Committee's reviewed these projects in the capital budget. The committee wants to make the following recommendations to better align the implementation of the capital improvement program with the town's energy plan goals. And then basically you just come up with a bulleted list of recommendations.
And these
Yeah.
line items are the ones you pulled out that are relevant to us. So we
Yeah,
should-
you know, you probably want to take a look at the capital budget. I know it's long, but it doesn't take long to kind of flip through it and go through the different projects, but those are like sort of off the top of my head, those are the ones that kind of stood out as being really relevant. I don't even know if Allenbrook Community Park is so far in the future, I'm not even sure that it should be even included in that list.
What is that? What does that refer to?
So that's the expansions of the Allenbrook Community Park that were, there was just a study done this year to like kind of come up with some conceptual plans for expanded facilities at the Allenbrook Community Park.
Behind the school?
Yeah,
No, it was phase 1 and phase 2, I guess.
yeah,
So phase 1 got done and then phase 2, like a community garden there, never got done.
yeah, so there's actually a lot of, you know, that's like a whole nother thing in and of itself that you might have Todd come in and kind of look over that whole plan, because it's quite expansive, and he's really on board with doing a lot of you know, a lot of innovative renewable energy and
There's a lot of opportunities with
There-
the layout, for things like solar canopies. And
Yeah.
I think the plan,
mhm,
the recommendation, whatever, the pretty drawings they came up with already include things like solar on the
Yeah.
on the buildings, right, on the. Since it building.
I think so, yeah,
Small buildings.
right,
Pavilion, yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
With respect to the first line item,
Mhm.
And Reed, you may have opinions on this, you live in Finney, right? Does the town own any land or right of ways or anywhere that we could put charging facilities closer to housing? Like, I think it's a great idea to put it close in the parks, right? That's
Yeah.
awesome. But
Um,
maybe there's a better way, maybe there's a way to work with whoever
Mm.
owns Finney, I don't know if that's Snyder or whoever, but, you know, but if the town owns land there, even if it's like some of the street parking, if there's like town right of ways where it'd be possible to put, you know, start putting charging in the benefits of the residents that live there, that otherwise don't feel like they have an option to go
Mm.
EV at this point.
Wealthy living has some, right?
They've got a Tesla supercharger.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just Tesla.
there's like 8 of those, right, 10 of those.
Yeah,
And those
Yeah.
are only Teslas? Is that proprietary?
yeah, it's proprietary. Well, Tesla's talking about opening it up.
They
And
should.
frankly, I mean, something like that doesn't really benefit the people of the town. I've used it once, when I live here, and I've used it once just because I woke up in the morning to go skiing, I'm like, I forgot to plug in last night, so I rushed over there, it's super fast, and then I went to mine, but. You know, that benefits people that are, you know, staying at the hotel there, right, or passing through.
Right, it's
I-
walking distance to those condos.
Yeah. Yeah, so if someone. I mean, down to overgeneralize, but if someone owns a Tesla, they're doing okay in terms of charging.
Yeah.
Facilities, right? There's a lot, but I'm thinking just like a number of like level 2, like charge point. I use charge point as
Yeah.
an example, but level 2 chargers that would be like pedestal chargers. Maybe along like on-street parking. I know there's some of that in that area. But I don't know what property in that area the town actually either owns or has some kind of jurisdiction over.
Over, are you talking about like near Finney? Like,
Anything in the Finney area, like
Yeah,
along this, there's a couple streets that have on-street parking, so I don't know
Yeah.
if we can say if it's on-street, therefore the town can.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's town right away, I don't, you know, so that's
That's an option.
technically, there is a town-owned parcel right in Maple Tree Place that we're actually, and I actually, this is also gonna be another future meeting topic, is the whole planning for EV charging and where to put them, so you know, that definitely, definitely be talking
Bigger
about that.
conversation.
Yeah, but that's one place that I identified as being potential location for charging. It's right
Definitely.
next to Shaw's. It's like right across from Maple Tree Housing. Like
Ah, okay,
Okay,
it's right near that big stormwater pond. Is where the
Yeah,
town
yeah.
parcel is.
Yeah.
It's where our future multimodal hub is gonna be.
nice.
okay.
And the town map was adopted, right?
Hmm?
The town map was adopted at the form-based code thing, right?
It was, yeah, official map was adopted, hooray,
Which includes the motor facilities.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, so also, you know, let me see if I can pull this up. In the capital budget, one of the locations they may want to rethink.
Are these free
Oh, there it is.
chargers, are they?
They haven't
level
just,
twos, or
they haven't decided. Let me just pull it up
Are
here.
we going through contractors or a company? I guess they haven't decided.
Let me just, I'm gonna try to bring up that chart.
Charge point, the industry leader right now, you think?
Yeah, but there's a few others, Charge Point, Flow, Charge Point's the most common, like if you go downtown Burlington, all the on-street or Burlington parking lots have Charge Point.
So, okay,
I'll put it in.
could you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, so to your question, Kevin, about Finney, Finney's land is all, except for the town rights of way on the streets where the town has adopted streets. The land around there is still all privately owned. So it's owned by the homeowners associations or Snyder and his partners that own the land around the commercial buildings. So like you say, there's a big Tesla one at Healthy Living. There are 2, I guess, level 2 or level 3 chargers behind the hotel for non-Tesla vehicles. Those are the only ones I know of that exist. There are none in the apartment buildings and there are none in the regular residential areas. So if you were to put one, say in Finney residential where I live, it would be an expense to the homeowners association if it were sitting in one of our parking lots.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Because we own the land out there.
right. there is on-street parking throughout Finney in different places they're at. I was just wondering if any of the.
Yeah, so Zephyr has
Right.
on-street parking because they built it specifically with pullouts.
Yeah.
The other streets, some of the ones near those big apartment buildings have some on-street parking. Again, they're pullouts. So that there is the potential that you could do something there. But again, so the town owns those rights of way because they adopted those streets. Took over ownership of those streets and maintenance of those streets.
Gotcha.
So here's the page where he talks about the chargers. Now I don't think that, I'm not sure Catamount Community Forest is the best place for EV chargers. I don't know, that's
Yeah, I agree.
expressed by some other people too, but
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Village Community Park. Maybe,
That's the one right over here.
On North
Yeah.
Wilson Road, right?
what's that?
The North Wilson Road parking,
North Williston
Oh,
Road.
right around the
right
corner.
behind the, across from the Federated Church, there's a parking lot that goes to the bike path.
I thought they were gonna, I'm not sure, I thought they were gonna put it at the other parking lot,
The big one by the
Yeah.
skate park,
but I'm not sure, maybe
Oh,
that.
that one,
hockey rink,
yeah.
probably down there.
Yeah,
So they haven't decided yet, whether, how they're gonna charge, whether they may not charge for like a year, the first year. Anyway, that's yet to be.
yeah, the
decided,
locations, that's,
but probably level 2, they're not gonna be quick chargers. They'll be level 2 chargers.
So the consideration to keep in mind there is that people will benefit who have like an hour or two to spend. So
Right.
like, people going to watch or participate in like a kid's sports up at the community park,
Mhm.
that works really well.
Soccer leagues.
Soccer, yeah.
That's probably the thought on Catamount too.
Mm.
Where you would put it, how you'd get the infrastructure in there. I suppose it's doable.
Yeah,
It's a bit remote is the issue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't
Yeah,
serve,
right,
I think, a broader swath of the population. maybe.
Right. Nobody's gonna go up there at night and park their
Yeah.
car.
right.
Because there are
Right.
no street lights, there are no parking lot lights or anything. It's dark. So,
Yeah, I think that's the other thing, making sure it's in a safe location or a location people feel safe, right? Catamount does have power to the little hut there, so where the people
Yeah.
sign in, right? That'd probably be sufficient to run something from there, that need a new circuit or whatever, but.
yeah, I would say that's like a single electrical line that runs off the pole, so it's not very
Yeah.
much.
well,
They've got the
so,
big
so
lights there for the hockey rink.
somebody, an EV charger, an EV charging, whatever, installer looked at these two places, so just so you know, they decided that it would be feasible to put one at Catamount. and,
Okay.
They gave a cost estimate for it, doesn't mean it's the best place to put them.
Right.
Allen Brook is within a reasonable distance of Finney Crossing.
Yeah, it is. It's just, yes. I mean, it's
That's the closest public facility that might, then you have it at both schools are the.
right. You also have the opportunity then for teachers who would have an EV to use it during the
Right,
day.
in the daytime and in the evening, people from the area.
Right.
could be using
It is. I mean, if you look at the number of housing developments that surround Allenbrook, it's an enormous number of people. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think that Allenbrook might be if there's no other land available, I mean. Maple Tree Place is not convenient. For home, like the bedroom unit. That's where I think Allenbrook is a little.
But the people that work there could charge you while they're at work during the day, right? That's,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like, where's
Maple
someone
Tree
gonna
House,
be,
too.
the way I think of charging is the most. The places that make the most sense are the places where the cars are gonna be sitting anyways, like if the car's gonna sit somewhere for an hour or two, or even better, like 6 to 8, those are, great locations to consider. Do we own, is the town responsible for Rosenwall Park?
Yeah.
Because the
Mhm,
parking right off the street could be a location there.
mhm.
But honestly, I mean, Kevin, I'm with you, I think going
Yeah,
bigger and doing like 4 chargers at each, like WCS and ABS would be a huge start.
mhm.
And they would get the most use. They would
Yeah.
support people who are there for long periods of time.
And be close to, well, I guess. The village doesn't have it, well, actually, the village has a couple of developments there, right?
So there's a library too.
So, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I think, yeah, Wilson Central.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
ABM.
And, yeah.
It sounds like, so when was this prepared? This original,
This one, I think
that say December
last
21,
year,
last
for
year.
last year, yeah.
What's the right way to go about having the ad hoc conversation we're having now in a more
Mhm.
formal way with maybe the town map spread out and I don't know if it's like survey based or we want to just kind of come up with some hypothesis of what we think might work.
Yeah, so like I said, I think that's a larger discussion that's focused around location of EV chargers, and we talked about, creating a plan for EV chargers. So
Yeah.
yes, it relates to this conversation, but I think I want to have that be a separate, and I will have a map. I actually have made a map of, where the existing ones are and a few areas that I had thought of. And I can print it out, we can share it with screen, we can put it on the table, you can
I mean, there's, and then
Have
the
that
planning commission does maps like that all the time where they have,
Right.
population density within a quarter mile of something, and then the circle
Yeah.
gets drawn,
Yeah.
and so you get to see which spheres
Yeah.
would capture the most people. So you could say working people workplaces, one, and then
Mhm.
another map showing bedroom,
Yeah, and then recreation maybe is a third way to look at it.
Yeah,
recreation.
sort of a Venn diagram where they overlap.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And also just consider locations where the state might be putting some into. I don't know if the new Park and Ride has plans for some.
I would hope so.
I would
They're
hope
not-
so. They don't really?
No.
That's obscene.
The one that they're
That's
building.
obscene.
Right,
That's
Like you said, it's
obscene.
insane, but it's actually obscene, yes, it is obscene.
I have, really?
really,
That's AOT is just, they're in the Stone Age, aren't they?
Has anyone read so each state had to submit something called NEVI, National
Mhm.
Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Plans
Mhm.
to the government based on the bipartisan infrastructure bill from a year ago. The first tranche of that was dispatched. The first tranche of money was dispatched. So I'll track down, I'll take the action after that. I'll track down Vermont's NEVI submission because I think that
There should
will
be some
show us
money.
where they all are,
Yeah,
where they plan to be.
if it's not allocated for that new construction.
But
Well,
new
That's a
construction,
mistake.
greenfield, and they're not
The
doing it.
problem with-
Oh my God.
that. Yeah, what I was told, and this actually doesn't relate to chargers, but this relates to. Originally, they were gonna put a bike locker there. And they decided they couldn't because the particular bike locker that they had in mind was like something you had to pay to use. And some part of their federal funding said that they could not have anything at that park and ride where people had to pay for stuff.
Hmm.
So that's why the bike lockers got canned, and I imagine that's one of the reasons they're not having charging.
Well, that's kind of counterproductive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I wonder if we can add stuff after the fact, after the initial.
the other, well, I mean, with the park and ride,
Yeah, so
not a chance, not a chance. No.
like ever.
I can tell you right
That's
now.
not how it works.
I mean, maybe in the way in the future, but
Well, now's the time to be putting in that infrastructure when they're building. of
Yeah,
course,
well-
but that's tragic.
but
We could
But the
do,
thing that's, that also,
sue them.
the other thing about park and rides that somebody mentioned is. It's not actually an ideal, like. People's cars are gonna be sitting there all day long, right? So if somebody's charging, they're gonna be using that charger all day. Not good for, certainly not good for a fast charger. Not even great for a level 2. And then they did, at one park and ride, I saw a bunch of level 1 like outlets off of each light pole. So I think I asked Dave Roberts or somebody about why they weren't doing that more. And he's like, oh, they've been having problems with RVs parking there and just like camping out, using power. So.
Okay, yeah,
That's why we can't have accidents.
yeah, I know, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but the state
Anyway,
police are right there too, so that'll keep them in order.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Two quick thoughts. My thought would be double the EV charging thing. That was my first thought. Actually,
Yeah.
my first thought was even much bigger. But
Mhm.
then I was, we've talked about the revolving loan fund. That's a conversation we need to have. But I'm wondering is there anything that would prevent us, this is a big conversation, is there anything that would prevent us from saying, hey, we set the rate for these chargers and the rate is whatever GMP charges us, which I assume is like a business rate,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Plus 5 cents per kilowatt hour. And all of those funds go into funding like the next tranche of chargers that we want. Like, is there any way to have some like self-propelled?
Sure, yeah, I mean, I
charging?
think you can definitely, I think that'd be a great thing to recommend and.
It also
I-
helps us make the case, like, because if no one's using them, we don't make any money out of it. Then
Uh-huh.
we don't have money to install new ones. But if people are using them irregularly.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't, yeah, I agree. I don't think we should be giving away free charging. It is, if we put a charging station, it's for the benefit of the people with EVs, but it doesn't make it a freebie. And so whatever we get and any fee on top, like you say, could go into a perpetuating program. It's almost like a revolving
great
loan
idea.
fund.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can do it. I mean, if, I don't know what GMP's like commercial rates are, but
Mhm.
excuse me, I assume there's enough buffer between the commercial rate and the residential rate. They would, for anyone using it, it would be the equivalent of charging at home, say 17 cents per kilowatt hour, right? Like roughly what we probably pay for home electricity. But the difference would be, we're paying the commercial rate and then the difference
So the
would be,
difference is going into
yeah,
account.
But
Yeah.
charging infrastructure, and the maintenance does overhead.
that's true. We have to-
I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's not like we can go out, let's go on the web and order 7 charge
Yeah.
stations, right? I mean, they have, right now it's only private entities that are doing it.
The city of Burlington's now quite a few. It'd be
They're doing it
interesting.
themselves. Okay, so
I mean, yeah, like it's
if it's there.
like they've got on-street parparking, they've got them in some of the garages. You could probably just reach out to Burlington and see what they did, how their rate struck. Like I know there's another one I've used them in the past, it's been about 17 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, I say that's based on a calculation, I think, because I think they have to charge by the hour or by the minute. I don't think we could do. I don't think Vermont allows us to charge by the kilowatt hour. Or
I
do
thought,
they?
no, I think so.
Vermont's
'cause
one of the ones that does.
I think that Burlington Electric charges charge per kilowatt. hour.
Okay, so then maybe that's right. Maybe it is the 17 cents per kilowatt.
Yeah.
hour.
Is it
Okay.
posted at those chargers what the rate is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
But that is true. Burlington's different because they do have their own electric.
They have their own electric.
Right.
company, too.
So
Um,
we don't.
let's see. Do you want to kind of go through each of these things and just kind of throw out like your thoughts about each of them? I mean,
We're on number 1 for last hour.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just in the interest of being able to
Yeah.
draft a memo not, maybe not tonight, because I don't think that's gonna happen, but the next
Brainstorm it.
meeting. And be able to get it to the planning commission in a, in a timely manner, so that they
Yeah.
can.
I mean, the first two are 2023, or actually the first
Yeah,
four. maybe.
2023, so that's next year, yeah.
It's, actually, when does that start? Next July?
Well,
2023, or is it now?
next July,
Next July.
next year. So parking lot. What do you want to see happen with the parking lot back here?
Where's the parking lot gonna, is it gonna extend into the, like where the solar panels are?
Are they gonna extend it?
Not that far. They're
Okay.
gonna
Mhm.
extend it as far to that hedgerow as they can.
Okay.
It's wet back there.
Yeah, it's a wetland back
Yeah.
there.
Okay, so going back to my planning commission days, there was, it's a problem for businesses in the village, and there virtually are any.
Which one, yeah, what,
Well, it used to be.
yeah, I know, we
It
need
used
some.
to be a restaurant that I really liked. And they'd be always fighting with the next door neighbor about trucks coming in, because there's no place for well, in any case. The big problem is parking, and how do you manage parking in Williston Village? So, yeah, having an extra parking area that open to the public is,
I
I
mean,
think it's just good for business to have a vibrant town.
The solar canopy is nice, but
mm,
that costs a bunch of money.
yeah, how much?
Uh,
Curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I know a guy who does that, who I used to work with,
Yeah.
but you know, I don't know if it pays off.
Yeah,
I mean, also the aspect might be tough, right? Because there's the line of trees right there.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he might
So
be all
maybe-
right. I
yeah.
think the sun's high enough. It's just, you know,
maybe. that's
panels are
what
one thing, solar infrastructure is one thing, but when you build a canopy, if there's a need for that.
Mhm.
To cover vehicles, if there's a need for the canopy, you definitely
Yeah.
want to put solar on top of it,
Mm.
but building it just for solar is.
Yeah,
hard
I
to
mean,
do.
some of the police vehicles are parked outside. They might appreciate having a canopy.
Yeah, if they need
Yeah,
a canopy, you should
yeah.
go that route, but it's hard to justify building that just for solar, right?
Yeah.
But if they need that as police to cover their cruisers, could be.
maybe
What
benefits
about
for-
plowing, snow, is it help, because now you don't have to plow underneath, but
Right.
snow blows underneath it, but.
Mm,
So then can you get a plow underneath the canopy?
Now, if you have an EV charger on the backside of it, that's another.
mhm.
Fairbanks Museum up in St. Johnsburg had a solar canopy with
Yeah.
EV chargers in the back, and I've been there in the winter, and
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're in their hand shoveling that, because you can't just push the snow to the back with the chargers there.
okay,
And also, I mean, I love solar canopies, but we've
Yeah.
also got the field, like we bang for the buck, we could probably
Right.
put another tractor in the field,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
For what we'd be able to do with the canopy.
mhm.
Right, that's why, yeah, if you need the canopy, put solar on
Yeah.
it, but don't build it just to put solar panels.
So maybe we don't even need to mention the canopy, because it's not an idea in anybody's head except for my own. at
Right,
this point,
yeah,
so-
yeah. I mean, if the police department came up with the idea. then
Mhm.
run with it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have to figure out a way to plow, and keep snow under control.
Mhm.
What you could do is you could just melt the snow, you just run some wires. And that would be really good if they do it.
Radiant heat.
They do that in Sweden.
Yeah.
They do it
Yeah.
with sidewalks.
The canopies can be arranged so that the supports are down the middle of the parking lot and the plowing can go on either side of it pretty easily. I've seen huge installations at hospitals where entire parking lots are covered. And they plow under it all the time as needed. So that's not an issue, but
Okay.
there are plenty of others.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So it's not dead.
But
Um,
if you look at return on investment, advocating for electrical charging stations as part of the municipal parking lot expansion is far more cost effective than trying to put a canopy with solar power, solar roof on it.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Especially if they have to, if excavation is needed to install more electric cable and stuff, it'd be good to do that before any paving happens, get the
Right.
infrastructure in place.
Mhm.
Right, so we should anticipate that the town is going to be purchasing vehicles that are electric.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
right, so not only municipal, but also there's
Mhm.
police and there's the town.
Yeah, so that's not,
Future, and that we should plan for the future, that's what the, you know,
Mhm.
that's why when you're gonna redo some project like this,
Mhm.
you know, you don't just do it for what's today.
so you get public
Even
safety,
Today they should have,
you get
Yeah.
public safety and maintenance. Is there a municipal vehicle fleet?
There is, well,
there's a
yeah,
lot of
there
trucks.
is.
So it does it fall under?
Oh,
I mean,
oh, you mean,
municipal, like,
you mean like planning?
did someone have like a Honda Civic
No.
driving around like?
Well, no, but there's pickup trucks.
Okay.
There's the police vehicles, there's all there, of course, there's the fire vehicles, and then there's the DPW vehicles, and they have a lot of, they have some light trucks.
Okay, but no one's like planning or like like no one has there's no town
No, we don't
light
have,
duty vehicles.
we drive around in our own vehicles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Love it if we had it.
Right.
EV, but no.
Okay.
there's no fleet.
Yeah, there's no fleet
Well, there
for,
is the part of
for
work.
us. There's the fleet for DPW.
Yeah.
For police, for fire.
Are those going EV at some point, some of those?
Well, I think they
right.
make a statement in there that they're gonna look into that. And so this is your opportunity to nudge them along.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, when we had the budget. All those fun budget sessions last year. with the, Select board, when folks came in from like police, DPW, et cetera, it was very much, oh, it's an interesting thing, we're definitely interested in finding out more. My takeaway was like, those are nice words, but there's no, like, I didn't hear anyone express any excitement or like immediacy to that, so I think if we think this is something that we want to have them looking at ASAP, I think that's on us to. involve.
Yeah, that's what she's coming from, and I
Yeah.
agree, I think, you know,
But
It
you
was
have
the
to,
bully pulpit of the energy committee.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Brett. But even before that, when you're doing this putting in chargers or the infrastructure for chargers needs to be done now.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
And we have to anticipate how many trucks we have. From DPW and how many police cars we have. And just assume they're all gonna be electric, because
Yeah,
you know,
Mhm.
2030, they're supposedly not gonna be making any more.
Yeah, well, so that's a great point, so. We probably need to add a line item, so we've got the line item there for like town parks. And
Yeah.
we've got the parking lot here, but we probably need a specific line item. Maybe police charging is covered in this parking lot upgrade, though, I think we should call it out individually, because we should also call it the DPW garage as needing.
yeah, yeah.
At a minimum, a bunch of level twos, of those trucks to charge overnight.
So.
Yeah.
So I think right now, in the municipal parking lot expansion. Bruce is not thinking about EV chargers. I think some of the police department are thinking EV chargers and want to see it happen, but I think it certainly would not hurt to call that out.
Yeah.
As one of the things that should happen with this.
That's
Carrying it up.
That's good cover needs though, right? Like, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, the police station is gonna need dedicated chargers,
Right,
they're probably
right.
gonna need at least one level 3,
Yeah,
in addition to some level 2s.
yeah,
And then I'm thinking, you know,
for public use.
yeah, so 2
Yeah.
dual pedestals for public use, wherever the actual public spots are gonna be.
Mhm.
Right, and infrastructure for both fast chargers and slow chargers is what I think might be needed for DPW. The fire station and police station.
Well, those are the 3 primary places where town vehicles will be charging,
Um,
DPW garage.
There's also
Fire
there's
station.
also the town works garage way over.
on industrial.
Where they're,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know where it is, but it's
it's
where
on
the
Avenue A.
salt mines are.
Yeah, Yeah, so definitely there and police here and then I don't know when they're ever gonna get an electric fire.
But
truck.
here, they keep their pickup
Ambulance.
trucks here, right? They do, the town works keep some of their pickup
Right,
trucks here.
so here, I guess some combined charging for police and DPW.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And the public.
you know, the thing is, these vehicles don't travel that very many miles in any
Yeah.
given day, so it's like. I mean, I'm sure they're anxious about charging, especially the police, but. Like, they're not gonna need to have these vehicles plugged in all the time, you know, they'll be charging them some and then they can rotate them around,
It range
Yeah,
isn't
like
an
a
issue with
system.
municipal vehicles most of the time, because you're
right?
staying in town.
Especially with the police, like all of the idling they do today
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
isn't gonna happen. Right?
right,
Crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Just to keep the
That's gonna pan out.
electronics powered up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing also, when you talked about you guys not having a vehicle like other town employees, do you think there's just enough? Do they reimburse you for your mileage?
oh, yeah,
And is
So
it
there-
at like 55 cents a mile or whatever the federal
50.
rate is now?
52.5 or
50,
something.
no, it's 52 that we get reimbursed,
Okay.
they haven't changed that in a number of years.
I'm just kind of curious if an EV town vehicle for you guys to use could be justified by how much they reimburse
Believe
for
me,
mileage every year.
we've had that thought, yeah,
Okay.
It's a good idea, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Sounds like it's out there already, but yeah, that's another thing, a bullet point to put in
yeah,
these comments.
Because the state used to reimburse us for using our own vehicle, but then they incentivized us using fleet vehicles because it was more cost effective. And
Yeah.
they would, if there was no fleet vehicle available, they'd pay you the full rate. But if you couldn't prove that a fleet vehicle was available and you
Yeah.
used your own vehicle, then they would actually reimburse you at a lower rate. So they sort of made it worth your while to use the fleet
yeah,
instead of your own vehicle. But just a thought that we should look into that too, maybe.
yeah. I think that's a good idea.
So Melinda, in
Okay.
light of the document that you've got up on the screen,
Yeah,
do we? I've got 8 bullet points just on town vehicles, charging stations, the justification for it tied to the parking lot project, the return on investment. Is that put into the middle of this? Or do you put it as an addendum?
you put everything, all the recommendations on the bottom here. And you can, you know, I know right now you're throwing out a lot of thoughts, and I think that the recommendations can be condensed and organized. So that they make sense. I mean, right now, I think it's great, you know, there's a lot of discussion, good discussion and thoughts being put out, and I think that they will be refined. You don't have to get it perfect right now. Right now, you're just kind of coming up with ideas. And then, you know, have confidence that these ideas can be put into an easily assimilated format.
So.
Well, it seems like, yes, the first 4 items in that table
Mm,
all relate to what we've talked about in the last 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. The next 3 items dealing with upgrades in HIVAC go to another
one?
recommendation about, do we get an audit and move towards newer technology? And then Allen Brook is completely separate.
Yeah,
So you can have 2 major categories with recommendations for capital improvements covering this 5-year, 4 or 5 year period of time that would
Mm.
benefit 7 of the 8 things listed there.
Mm,
So all of the town EV charging would fall under those existing 2 lines, because you say and equipment, that's what you had intended there, and so we call those out on the detailed budget sheet.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Public service,
So you say,
safety, vehicles and equipment.
and equipment
Right.
is the charging infrastructure?
No, the equipment is just the maintenance equipment like lawnmowers,
Tractors.
tractors and.
Town equipment.
Okay, so then we definitely want to, I think, add an explicit line item, municipal
Yeah.
vehicle charging infrastructure.
Right, and maybe, you know, this table is for your benefit and maybe it comes out of the memo and just gets kind of embedded in the record.
Sure.
I wish, you know, it would be great to have like. To put it in there, and it doesn't even work actually,
Mm.
but at least put it in their faces that you have this truck, it gets this kind of use.
Yeah.
You could do much better with a
Well,
F-114 electric or light.
Well, that's that other document that was written.
Right, so
Right?
we'd have to break it down to, you know, to put, say, give them specifics and show them the benefits.
Yeah.
Not that they're actually gonna do anything about it, but okay, so here.
so you can, you know,
You already did it.
you can reference that, this fleet analysis. So we had a fleet analysis done
Right.
for some of the DPW trucks and it showed, I mean,
Maybe that's the addendum. 'Cause
Yeah.
You want a list of
Mhm.
recommendations here at the end, but we need some documentation to. support-
Yeah.
To support the
And it
recommendation.
looks like that work was done. It's
Yeah.
great.
Right,
right,
So there should be attachments to whatever memo we send.
yeah.
but look at that page right there you're rolling by.
Yeah.
Average daily driving distance, 21 miles. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
there's the perfect, you know,
Yeah.
example for why an EV works.
And an EV with a very small battery too, it doesn't be expensive, the cost goes up with battery size.
Right, so the average annual driving distance is a little over, it's 6,600 miles.
That's not.
That's not that much.
Plus that Ford F-150 Lightning Pro is only $40,000. I mean, that's what they spend on a regular pickup anyway,
Mhm.
More than that.
or more than that, yeah.
So,
Well, the maintenance costs are a lot lower.
Town's gonna save significant money
Right.
by
Yeah.
moving those.
Oh,
sites.
yeah.
it's really a no-brainer
Yeah,
at this
it
point.
Right.
But,
And-
you know, but people have a different view than you do, and
Right.
you have to. Even showing them this
Money
in
talks.
black and white, I don't know.
I mean,
We have to get
front
Eric
porch
to
work
work on
but-
It will,
This comes
but
out.
I mean, you gotta have the backup document.
There's
Right,
there's your
yeah, but-
recommendation
but the
right
math
there.
works.
I mean, we should just say, based on this, there should be no more internal combustion engines or light duty trucks. I mean, it's just like,
Uh,
no more. No.
Man, though. These people start with.
What-
two.
Well, that's another thing, I mean, I don't,
Look at the dollars and cents.
I'm with you, it's just.
I mean, I'm not saying, I haven't looked at dollars and cents, so.
Yeah.
But based on the dollar and cents, maybe you're right.
but could we make, I mean, so, but we're talking, I think there's two different things here, there's. Do we replace existing stuff before it's end of life? That's one conversation,
Yeah,
right?
that's-
But the other conversation is like. We could, as a town, say, we will not purchase another.
Yeah.
Fossil fuel
Mhm.
light duty truck.
That's the compromise.
Right.
You don't preemptive replace
Right,
it, you
yeah, yeah.
just do the life cycle replacement with the EV.
Right.
Yeah.
And based on this analysis, if this analysis supports it, then,
If it saves the town money, people.
yeah.
Yeah,
Heck, what would save the town money is selling a used truck in the market as it exists now, and getting a 40K.
Well, the problem is you can't get an EV right now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Do we want to call out, so there's, I think I heard you say there's like some implicit. Like, I'm thinking rec and parks, like all of the field maintenance stuff. Could that be a separate line item? I think that's a good one to put in front of people, because we could kind of quantify that pretty straightforward.
mhm.
And have that as a dedicated, you know, all the rec and parks.
Equipment and the public works, I mean, basically, yeah, public works, rec and park equipment, like the weed whackers and the lawnmowers.
All Public Works has the same type of,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, they don't have as, they have their own mowers, but anyway, whatever.
So
They're both-
do they use leaf blowers that are like?
Sure they do.
Like those loud gas
Mhm.
ones?
Sure they do.
I wonder if you, like, we have a noise ordinance. Do those things, are those things louder than,
Well,
Is
I don't know, I mean,
because I hate it.
it's the tone, it's the.
You just can't do it after 10 at night.
Oh, that's the noise. ordinance,
So-
yeah.
So all that equipment. Trimmers, lawnmowers, trimmers, weed whackers.
And the lifespan of those is pretty short.
Of the
So-
electric ones,
No, the gas ones.
of gas.
So if you think about those, mowers, trimmers, those kinds of things, when they're used in commercial applications, they wear out. So the justification for moving to a battery operated one is greater because they're going to wear out anyway. So why keep buying the same type of thing over and over and over again?
Mhm.
That requires more maintenance.
Well, I mean, similar to vehicles, right? Like,
Mhm.
I've never had any gas-powered lawn equipment go more than 2 seasons without needing some engine work, even
Yeah.
like string trimmers. My electric string trimmer just finished its 8th or 9th season. And even the batteries are still fine, like, yeah, I think they're
I've had mine for 10 years.
Electric.
How you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, inky little thing, but it works, keeps working. Yeah. electrical.
I guess, does it make sense, maybe, can we divvy this out a little bit? And have each of you take on one of these recommendations or areas or something, and then just come up with some talking points related to that.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Just because we're running out, we have run out of time.
Regard it,
And,
If you want to divvy it up. just
So-
knowing our interests.
so there's EV charging stations, both for town use and public use. Would somebody like to take that on, or
I might grab that one.
um, municipal parking lot expansion and improvements?
We can do that.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't require any expertise.
No, but do keep in mind that, that there is, as I said, the village has a real parking problem. And it hurts the vitality of the town and the ability of businesses to operate here.
Vehicle fleets. Any takers?
That's a big one.
I mean, I
That
guess,
might be need 2 people. How many do we have?
or I could.
What are you looking for the vehicle fleets above and beyond the assessment that you had
Yeah,
there?
you already had the biggest.
That's pretty much it, just like
Yeah.
pulling some numbers out of that.
And I could try to put some words to it. but
Yeah,
Maybe you and I want to.
okay, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, and then equipment like lawnmowers, trimmers, weed whackers, lawnmowers. And why to go electric on those?
I don't think, Melinda, have you ever talked to Stephen Weisbaum from Mo Electric?
No, I mean, I know Mo
I-
Electric.
I've got his contact info. I mean, he might be a good person to reach out to. He might have some stuff off the top of his.
Okay,
head that he could
I'll
give
take
us.
that on.
Okay,
We haven't signed up Matt with anything yet. Have you gotten anything?
Not yet.
Matt and Reed,
Yeah,
did you figure out all the HVAC?
How
for all
about
town
the-
buildings?
how about the HVAC stuff? I mean, you can probably make some fairly general statements about just, kind of pursuing opportunities to use heat pumps or other alternative fuels. But
What are all those buildings using? Is it all natural
Especially-
gas?
all natural gas, yeah.
Okay, so this is.
Especially that far out in the future,
Yeah.
there's gonna be some real improvements
Right.
in technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or get the word out now, like Kevin
Yeah.
was saying, so you can start planning for it.
yeah,
If there's some
All right.
disaster.
I can try doing that
cool, great.
for both fire and police. Is it the
Great.
HVAC in general?
Yeah, and just, I mean, by extension, like all of the HVAC in all the town buildings is eventually gonna need to be replaced. It's just that theirs is closer to needing replacement than.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and the first step is gonna be getting involved with like a Green Mountain Power to help do assessment
Mhm.
of municipal buildings or
Yeah.
to
or
get the
just-
big picture.
Mhm.
The fire station's a tricky one because those doors are open.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah,
It'd be interesting to know how a pump setup would do
well,
against that.
so they use radiant floor heat there.
Yeah.
In the apparatus space. And the town of Woodstock, I think it's Woodstock or maybe Hartford. They just recently did a project funded by the Department of Energy, where they have the same radiant heat in the apparatus space. And they replaced their gas-fired system with a heat pump with a big storage tank. And that was key, like, so if the power goes out, they have like, and the storage tank is filled with something like it's similar to coconut oil. So it's like solid at room temperature and, yeah, so it like, for some reason, it makes it more efficiently keep the heat in
With the
there.
reservoir.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I mean, I was really intrigued by that system and I wanted to,
And radiant heat's one of the easier ones to do.
Yeah.
Like replacing a
I,
gas fired on
Yeah.
the heat pump hot water,
right, because you're not replacing what's underneath the
right?
floor.
Because they're not steam, the radiant heats hot water as opposed to like
Yeah.
a baseboard system, which is actually steam and heat
Yeah.
pumps can't handle that yet.
Mm. Mhm. So,
But
But
the-
the rest of the building, I mean, they've got all like doors that close by themselves, right? Like the rest of the buildings.
Efficient.
What is the,
I think,
what is
yeah.
what is the installation name?
it
It's a
should
new
be pretty
building.
good because it's a new building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be, but the library was new and that had a pipe break because they did such a bad job.
Well, the library is a whole different story in and of its, I mean, that building is so cobbed together
Yeah,
that,
when we did the energy audit on that, it was a nightmare.
yeah. Okay, so everybody's knows what they're doing and,
What are we doing? We're just writing up some text,
Yeah, why
to
don't you-
address a recommendation maybe and some justification behind it.
Yep, doesn't need to be super long, just kind of clear and concise, and then, let's, collect it all, maybe I can start a document up, send you guys a link to like a Word doc to throw you.
Give us something to start, so we know kind of where you're coming from.
Yeah.
time-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Great, thank you.
okay.
Well,
Like,
Right at time.
we
Yeah.
are after 8 o'clock,
in the
so,
nick of time,
yeah, so, I drafted the next Living Green article. If you can give me, I've gotten comments from a couple of people. If you can give me any comments, thoughts on that. That has to be, it publishes on the 27th, which is 2 weeks out, but I am out of town from the 21st to the 24th, which is when I'd normally be sending it out. So I need to have it done by the 20th. So if you can get me any comments over the next several days, if you see improvements that need to be done for that, I can finish it up and get it to Jason. And then I sent everybody an email with the dates for November and December's publications. So we don't have topics yet, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And the future agenda items, Melinda had put some things out here and we'll get to those later.
I definitely want to throw a big +1 on having either the next meeting or a future but soon meeting focused on the official map and town, like mobility, just like the official map mobility commission stuff in general, because like all the stuff we're talking about tonight relates to, where to put chargers, ultimately relates to things like mode shift and the official map. And I
yeah.
think we could gain a lot of
I think-
kind of shared understanding by just having,
Mhm.
seeing what's kind of come before us.
Big picture.
How about next meeting?
Yeah.
Wait, Reed, so are you out for the next meeting?
No, let's see, that would be the 20, no, I am back for that. I will be here. I'm just gone for 4 days. The end
Okay.
of the week before and in through the weekend.
Gotcha.
Next one is the 26th,
26, right?
26th, yeah.
October 20, wait, no, November, where are we?
October 26th.
October 26th. Oh my God.
Don't rush it.
Okay.
okay.
And Melinda, before we close out, did you need anything else on the work plan that we had worked on for the last 2 weeks, or are we at a point where we've agreed with the, 1.5 timelines and can submit that?
Well, I think you guys are good with that. I think you're good.
Okay,
It's really to organize you. We actually, you don't need
oh
to
my
submit
God,
it.
she wants to organize us.
Just to organize yourself. Yeah, okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Cool.
all right,
Yeah.
anything else? Okay, we're adjourning at 8:10. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
I'll get some information, Melinda and Reed, I'll send it over
Okay.
to you from South Burlington
Yeah,
related to the bylaw stuff.
oh, yeah.
They're going big.
Yeah, I know, they're doing